part 2 of 4 of the tile tutorial set, where we'll be covering the creation of a tile set for an isometric game start to finish. All the specific measurements and specifications we'll be using are for one particular game, but if you're here for your own project, I hope you find what you're looking for. In this video, I'll be making art for a tile set. Let's get started. I'd like to match the grass in Central Park, at least somewhat, so I'm going to be taking the color and these little flower assets and using them in my own design. I'm thinking I'd like the edge of my tiles to be somewhat organic. I'm going to sketch a little bit and try to figure out what I want to do. You always want to start your final art by setting up a grid for yourself. Now, if there's another tile set that has similar proportions to what you want, then it's great to be able to reuse a grid. I'm just going to start one from scratch in case you need to make a different grid for yourself as well. I gotta start by having that bleed space in there. I'm gonna steal it from our current grid by tracing over it. Now I've got a line that kind of represents how far back I want the grass to start from the edge of the tile. I'm going to use this and reflect it across all axes of the diamond. Using smart guides, I'm going to make all of these intersections between lines into anchor points for ease of snapping later on. Now I'm going to begin creating the finished work. This represents where the grass will begin. So on this side of the edge will be dirt and this side will be grass. What I'm doing here is adding a little extension to the stroke anywhere that it intersects the northern edge of the tile. This helps assure that when all the tiles are together and bumped up against each other in a seamless whole, the stroke will look continuous and it won't have any hiccups or gaps in it. Check it out! These are all the lines that you need to make almost all of the tiles with the exception of 3 special ones. You can use these little inner corners and outer corners to make all the different T intersections and these straight through lines to finish it up. I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Alright, now that I've got all my tiles with their little edges, I'm going to fill in all of these shapes. So now I've got all my boring green blobs filled in. does not look like grass. It does not look very good. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add a secondary color for some interest, and then after that we'll be moving on to the details like the tufts of grass and the flowers and stuff, and that's what will make this look like it's actually worth something. Alright, so I've filled everything in, I've given it a little extra dimension. It does look really plain, but it's because we're working with a game that has a really simple style, and I don't want to overwhelm these floor tiles with detail and make them look out of place. Alright, I have my tiles pretty well decorated. Might even be a little too much. Something that I like to do before I call it quits is do a little test run by snapping things together in Illustrator using the diamond bounding box shape. If you grab your tile and the bounding box at the same time, and you snap it by the corners of the bounding box, you can get a preview of what it'll look like when it's put down in the game. You might have noticed me doing that earlier when I was testing things out to see how I liked them. So I'm going to go ahead and group up all my tiles really well and then do a little testing to see if the amount of detail is good or if I should take some off or whatever. This I can see if somehow the way it's repeating is irritating or whatever. I think the detail might be a little too compact, but since this is just our example, I think I'll go ahead and use this for now to continue on with the process. If you need to submit these tiles for review, you can use your little test configurations to show people what it'll all look like together. Alright, that's it. In the next video, I'll be exporting this artwork and taking a look at the exported files. See you then. Thank you.